Hey everybody, and welcome to my video. My name is Kayla Glumack, and I have had ulcerative colitis for 16 years now, so I wanted to share a little bit with you about what is ulcerative colitis and how it compares to Crohn's and sort of everything about it that I know. So because this is a patient perspective, if you have any other questions that I don't really get to, you can definitely comment them below, but if you have more specific ones, go to your doctor, you know? But anyway, okay. So let's back it up to when I got diagnosed. I was 13 years old and I started having symptoms of really severe abdominal cramping along with a lot of bloody diarrhea. And I'm talking like several times a day. We'll get into why that happens. But this is what I knew before I was ever diagnosed. So I'm 13 and I'm seeing, oh my gosh, tons of bloody diarrhea in the toilet. Like that's kind of scary to even bring up to your parents in the first place. So had that. I was very fainty, kind of like lightheaded, and very, very tired. So those are my main symptoms. And when we went to the doctor, we had to get a referral down to the children's hospital where they did they had like a gastroenterology department. And then I was diagnosed by having an endoscopy and colonoscopy. So a lot of people ask me what the difference is between Crohn's and colitis. So both Crohn's and ulcerative colitis are considered inflammatory bowel diseases, which means that it's inflammation, they're autoimmune diseases of inflammation of the gastrointestinal tract. Why is that so hard to say? The GI tract. And also, because they are chronic, it means you're gonna have them for the rest of your life. So we get medications to help control symptoms or other options, which we'll talk about too. So back it up. Basically, they did an endoscopy and a colonoscopy because they wanted to make sure that it was, they wanted to see what was it, and they wanted to see if it was ulcerative colitis versus Crohn's. Now, the major difference is ulcerative colitis is only affected in your large intestine. Fun fact, the large intestine is also referred to as the colon. So they are the same thing. Sometimes I thought they were different, but you know, terminology. And in Crohn's, it affects everything from your mouth down to your butt. So a cute little way to say it is from your gum to your bum. And then let's dive into ulcerative colitis, since that is something that I am more familiar with. So again, the large intestine is the only thing that's affected in in ulcerative colitis. So if you think of digestion, when you chew your food, it starts in your mouth and then you swallow it, it goes down your esophagus and into your stomach. In your stomach is where it starts to digest and really break down the food. Then once it's gotten it broken down as much as it can, it passes to your small intestine, which helps to absorb nutrients. And then those nutrients get transported into the bloodstream out to the rest of your body, and then they do their functions. And then that mass, or not even mass, but that food that's left over goes into your large intestine, and you can basically call it waste at this point. So your large intestine's role is to absorb water and also any other nutrients that are still in that waste. So because it pulls water out of the stool, that's what makes it formed, and that's why it comes out more solid rather than liquid. So when you're in a flare with ulcerative colitis, the reason that you have diarrhea is because there's so much inflammation in your large intestine that it can't pull the water from that stool. So it just is all liquidy. So because there's inflammation, you also have to have very frequent bathroom trips. Ulcerative colitis is actually an autoimmune disorder, and what that means is that your immune system malfunctions. And basically, because it is in your large intestine, your mucosa is that inner lining, and that is what is attacked. So it causes ulcers, which bleed. And that's why you have the bloody diarrhea. So I wanted to say something about that. I gotta check my notes. Does that make sense? So like when your body is attacking that inner lining, it creates ulcers and that causes bleeding. So when you have a damaged part of your body, the normal response of the immune system is to send white blood cells to help repair it. Well, in my body, it just sends too many white blood cells, and that causes inflammation, which is why a lot of times if there's too much inflammation and it's just hard to control, you're considered you're in a flare. So if you got the inflammation, the bloody diarrhea, all those symptoms, then oftentimes we're put on a steroid called prednisone, and that helps to bring the inflammation down so that your body can repair itself and get out of the flare and hopefully into remission. So remission means that you don't have a current flare. And this can happen, it can be, weeks between flares, months, years sometimes. So when I was first diagnosed at 13, basically the first 12 years, I would say, I really didn't have any troubles with flares at all. If I had a flare, it would happen for like a day or two, and then I would just, you know, either stop drinking coffee or any sort of foods that would irritate me. I would go to more softer foods, and then it was fine. And it would almost like reverse the flare. I wouldn't go into a full-blown flare. Well, 2 years ago, all of a sudden, my body totally just stopped accepting the medication that I was currently on, and it has been really hard to control ever since. So let me pause for a second to think if there's anything else that I want to tell you about ulcerative colitis itself before I go into medications. Yes, okay, so there are different types of ulcerative colitis, and it's based on where it is affecting you in your large intestine. So first off, in your large intestine, let me see, on my side. Okay, so your large intestine goes around. It might be backwards for you, but this is my right side, this is my left. So over here we've got our ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, and then the rectum, which goes down and out. And so the rectum is that last place in your digestive system that holds stool before it's ready to be expelled. So everybody who has ulcerative colitis of any sort, and I didn't know this until quite recently, that there are different types of ulcerative colitis, but it's all where it affects your intestine. So starting in that rectum, that is called proctitis. Did I say that right? Proctitis, that's what it's called. So when it starts in your rectum, that's called proctitis, and that means just the rectum is inflamed. When it moves up a little bit more, so you know, rectum going up into the sigmoid colon, that is called proctosigmoiditis. Pronunciations. Then when it goes up to your descending colon, backwards, up, you're descending, that is called left-sided colitis. And then you have, if it affects that whole area plus the transverse and the ascending, that is called pancolitis, and that's what I have. I didn't realize that it was like the most severe until a couple years ago, so that's fun. So let's talk about different ways that you can control ulcerative colitis. A lot of times you'll find that dietary things, if there's different foods that cause triggers, it's different for everybody. So some people are affected by this and other people are not. So it's kind of, it's trial and error. That's basically all it is. There are certain foods that will definitely, probably across the board, affect a lot of people with ulcerative colitis. The main ones being spicy foods, coffee, and very acidic juices. I found that those three things, and alcohol. Those things are like the main ones that if you are in a flare, you'll probably want to avoid them. We've got a guest speaker. Ooh, this is what he likes to do. He likes to just cuddle. Oh, he's probably trying to like climb up all around here. Okay. Oh, okay, it's fine. Okay, anyway, let's talk about medications. So there's different ways that you can control your ulcerative colitis. And when I was first diagnosed, I was prescribed a pill called Sickle. To back up, you can take pills, there are suppositories, injections, and infusions, and then steroids are occasionally used to help you control your flare. So the whole goal of your medication management is to get you into remission. So some people are lucky enough, like I was starting to say earlier, is that I had so few symptoms, I guess, outside of my medical treatment for a long, long time. So I would consider myself in remission for like 12 years. So that was really, really great. I had colonoscopies throughout that time to really check and see how everything was managed, and everything was looking pretty good. So I don't really know what happened 2 years ago because nothing really changed in my eating habits or lifestyle or really anything. It just it was like one day, all of a sudden my medication just stopped working. So that was really scary and shocking and kind of like whiny situation, you know. I'm sure everyone feels that way at some point. But anyway, okay. So that first medication that I was put on was called Sickle, and it comes in a pill form and also a suppository form. So I was on the maximum dose of the pill form, which kind of got ramped up like as I was getting older. So anyway, and you know what, you took it twice a day, it was fine, not a big deal. And then the suppository we tried to add in later on when I first started flaring, because that was kind of like the easiest thing to step into for a next medication to try. Didn't work out for me. I wasn't a fan, but that's fine. And then maybe I tried an enema too. That didn't work out very well either, but it's personal preference, and you know what? Whatever. We gotta do what we gotta do, right? So Then if you move into the next category of medications, injections. So I have tried the medication called Humira, and if you are on Humira or if you're curious about it, I do have a video talking a little bit more in depth about it and also showing you how to do an injection. Check out that video on my channel. And basically, I don't know, yeah, it's easy peasy. And then there's another category of medications where you receive them through IV, and I also have been on 2 of those, Remicade and Entyvio. I think I talk about Entyvio on my channel, but I haven't talked about Remicade. Either way, yeah, they deliver it through an IV every so often. I don't want to go into detail too much about that because, you know, you can refer to that other video. But anyway, then there's the option of prednisone. So prednisone is a steroid, and I have been on it for a long time. And basically it's been the last 2 years in a row is how long I've been on prednisone. And it's a really long time. It's a hard drug on your body as far as the side effects go, and every person is affected differently. And I should back up and say that I was really lucky that all of the medications that I was on, I never had any like bad side effects. I didn't have like excessive weight gain or anything really at all. So that was really great. Prednisone, for me personally, I don't really love it. It definitely works for reducing inflammation and trying to get you out of a flare. But now my body is completely steroid dependent because as soon as I get off of it, I flare, and that is not good. And you don't want to be on prednisone forever either. I'm starting to get the breakthrough pains at a higher dose of prednisone. So actually my next step is surgery. I'll be having a total colectomy, and then they'll make an ileostomy. And honestly, I'm looking forward to that because a lot of people who have had that said that they feel so much better because quality of life changes so much. And I'm really looking forward to having energy back and being able to just do the things that I want to do during the day, you know, more than just whatever. Anyway, we kind of get into avenues, you know. If you like that, comment below and I can go down those avenues with you. But if not, we're cutting to the chase. Okay, so basically, where was I at? Okay, so for side effects for prednisone for me, I get the swollen cheeks, you know, they call it moon face. I get excessive sweating, mood swings, like really irritable stuff. Don't chew on that, actually. Okay, that would be nice. You get breakouts, you know, like acne. Is that an overshare? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Basically, I think that's pretty much it. So this is my whole experience with having ulcerative colitis. And to be quite honest, I am looking forward to having surgery because it's going to give me my life back. And I really, really need that. The last 2 years have been really challenging. I did end up in the hospital once, and I've only gone to the ER one other time besides that, but looking back, I maybe should have gone a couple other times. I just felt like I never knew when to go in, and maybe you feel like that too. And definitely feel free to comment below any questions or message me. I'm definitely here. I'm an open book. I want to share with everybody as much as possible because this is something that when I was diagnosed, I felt so alone and I thought nobody else had it. And honestly, thanks to social media, I feel less weird because so many other people are affected by inflammatory bowel diseases, Crohn's, and ulcerative colitis. So I feel like we have a really good supportive community, and just learning how many of my new friends have, you know, like since moving up here, so many people have ulcerative colitis or Crohn's or know someone close by who has that too. And it just makes you feel better, I guess. Like you're not so alone. Like I think the biggest issue is when I have pain, I don't want to talk about it every day because I don't want to be the whiner, you know what I mean? So a lot of people say like, oh my gosh, you're so positive. I would never expect you to be dealing with something like this. But it's like, you kind of learn after having it for 16 years that you can either be a down in the dumps kind of person and be upset about it, or you just carry on and keep going and be positive. So that's what I've chose, and hopefully you found this helpful. Maybe learned a thing or two, or just found companionship. So welcome. And if you liked what you saw, feel free to subscribe. I'll be taking you on my journey through surgery and all of the aftercares with an ostomy and everything like that. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks, bye.